Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, John Big Tech Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Tex, a.k.a. Professor Tex. I'm going to give a little my little weekly roundup of the first week. I'll be doing these weekly roundups, and I'll be naming the players, the defensive and offensive players of what I feel players of the particular of that whole week, who I think was the top players out of all the games that was basically being played. I'm going to try to zip through this as quick as possible. If it's your first time to the channel, subscribe to the page, hit that like button. You got any comments, leave them down below, and let's get into this. First and foremost, we're going to get under with my Cowboys playing against Tampa Bay. Well, we already seen what pretty much went on with that situation there. The old man Brady did his thing. I mean, it basically was one of them games where whoever had the ball last was going to win. I've said this, and I've been saying it for right at 10 years with Dallas since they lost DeMarcus Ware. They have no pass rush. And I said this, if you go back some months ago, going into the Super Bowl, the way that Kansas City was harassing Josh Allen, there was no way you was going to tell me that they wasn't going to harass Tom Brady that way. And after the game that Tom Brady actually had against Green Bay, a game that Green Bay should have won, but that's another story. I already talked about that back then. In the game that he played throwing 3 interceptions, that's why. But what Tampa Bay has showed me, and that's old school football, they build up front. Offensive line, defensive line. They have a strong offensive line. Nobody touches Brady. That defensive line, you're not running here. And their linebackers. Those are their core strength. Of course, you got Brady there, but that's the core strength. And if you have those cores and strength in those particular cores, you're going to win some football games in this league. Now, Dak, a lot of yards, put it up, threw the ball, I think, 58 times, if I'm not mistaken. 58. 42, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. The interception that was had wasn't his fault. I don't know if it's CeeDee Lamb or was it one of them guys. I can't even remember now. Ball went through his hands and went into somebody else's hands. People trying to talk mess about Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott rushed the ball for 11 times, 33 yards. He caught 2 passes for 6 yards. Christian McCaffrey touched the ball 30 times. I'm not going to say anything else. You no back, as good as a back that he is, you got to touch the ball more than 13 times, especially if you're running it. But that's another story. But until Dallas, offense is not their problem. Their problem is lack of a pass rush. And that thumper, I've been saying that for years. And we're going to go on to the next one. We're going to go on over to Philly and Atlanta, 32-6. Jalen Hurts, like I say, between Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa at Miami, and then you got Matt Jones. I mean, you got 3 Alabama quarterbacks that started in the NFL. I don't know if that's ever even happened before. That started all games as all starters and whatnot. And it's a possibility that these guys might be ready to break the curse, but it's extremely way too early. Way too early for these 3 Alabama quarterbacks, and all 3 of those quarterbacks have national championships, and all 3 of those quarterbacks are like all Southeast Conference. Then all 3 of them was all Americans in just the last couple of years ago. So that's a hell of a legacy between those guys right now in the past. What in the past 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, right, and whatnot. But Jalen Hurts, who I've been watching since he went to Channelview, Jalen Hurts, this guy, 27 to 35, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns. Got sacked once, ran the ball, I think, 7 times, ran the ball like 8 times for 57 yards, something like that. Hit my man, the wide receiver, got a chance to hit him for a touchdown and whatnot. And it was like I said, it was something to see. Devontae Smith, 6 catches, 71 yards, almost similar to the touchdown he caught with Tagovailoa a few years ago, I think, against Clemson and whatnot. So Philly might be the team to watch in the AFC. They might be the team to watch in the AFC. That was an impressive win. Atlanta's going backwards. That's all I'm gonna say about that situation there. Pittsburgh and Buffalo. One of the things I told you guys, what I tell you guys earlier, I said Jim Allen. I had to watch him and see what's up. He struggled with finding his receivers and whatnot. And they should have basically, you would think they was going to blow Buffalo out. Blow the Steelers out and whatnot. But Ben ended up being who Ben was. Ben started doing his thing. He got them guys going. And it's like Josh Allen, 30 of 51, 27 yards and 1 touchdown. He got sacked 3 times and got sacked twice by T.J. Watt and once by Cameron Haywood. Watt earned his money. I may do a show about that, between the parallels between him asking for money around the same time at this 3 or 4 years in the league and being a top defensive player, and then a couple of years ago, which was his rookie year, which was going into Le'Veon Bell's 3rd or 4th year in the league as being one of the top backs in the league, and look at the parallels and what happened. Watt would show up at practice but didn't practice. And my man had to go. I'll talk about that later. I might do that tomorrow sometime. I'll talk about that later. But, y'all tell me was some favoritism going on there. But, we'll talk about that some other time. But, again, Ben ended up doing 18 of 32, 188. He got sacked twice, threw a touchdown and whatnot and everything. But he came alive and whatnot. And like I said, Josh Allen, I think he struggled with accuracy. Not much of they ran the ball relatively decent, but like I said, if Ben started having that magic, and if it's not going good and they're still in it, he found a way to win, and that's what makes Ben a winner, and whatnot will always be a winner because he finds a way to get it to make it happen, and he definitely made it happen with 23-16 on that one. New York Jets and Carolina Panthers. That game really don't mean a whole lot to me. Jets kind of messed that up. Carolina Panthers can see, everybody, Christian McCaffrey rushed for 98 yards and had like 91 yards. He had almost 100. Everybody getting moist about that. That's fine and dandy, but let's see how long that's going to last throughout the season. What he's going to do, 89 yards, I should say. How long that's going to last. It's fine. Like I say, did a good job and whatnot. I never really been sold on Sam Darnold. I told y'all back in that 2017, I think the 2017 draft, I want to say, 2017, 2018 draft, I already said about that. I'm going to stand by that and whatnot. But, we'll see what happens. Probably a change of venue. Went on with him pretty good, but we'll see what happens. And like I said, again, that's the Jets. That's the Jets and the that's the Jets in Carolina. So it's not a whole lot that I'm going to say on about that. Minnesota and Cincinnati. Joe Burrow in the game, and got Joe Burrow in the game 27-24 in overtime. They had a couple of good games. There was some good games that was going on. Some close games, some really good games for the first week and whatnot. You had what else we had? We got Kirk Cousins puts up these great numbers. Again, walks away with an L. I tell you guys this all the time, man. And I've told y'all this countless of times. And y'all can quote me on this one. I say this over and over and over again. We are at a point in football for quarterbacks. These guys are throwing the ball almost 40 times a game. You're going to accumulate yards. Do you accumulate the W? That's the common denominator. Once upon a time, if you put up monster numbers, that almost guaranteed you a monster win because everybody wasn't doing that. Everybody really wasn't getting down like that. Now everybody can throw the ball around in the yard and stuff like that, but that doesn't and get touchdowns. That doesn't necessarily mean W's. A lot of that stuff is junk. But here, Kirk Cousins again, 36 of 49, 351 yards, ton of yards he's putting up. He ain't winning no games. Joe Burrow, 20 of 27, come back off the injury, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns. And whatnot. They was having, issues trying to worry about whether or not, what's my man's name? The little wide receiver. What's his name? Jamar Chase, because Jamar Chase from out of LSU was dropping a lot of balls during the during the preseason and whatnot. So he ended up, 5 catches for 101 yards, 1 touchdown. Joe Mixon coming back off of injury, 29 carries, 127 yards, one touchdown, 4 catches for 23 yards and whatnot. So that AFC North is going to be interesting, to say the least. The AFC North is going to be pretty interesting. Like I said, I think I talked about it a little bit last year. I said that might be the major conference coming up. That's going to be the conference to be at and whatnot. But of course, Cincinnati, they did what they did and they pulled it out. So we're going to see what happens there. Seattle and Indiana. The Colts, Indianapolis, 28-16. Russell Wilson gonna do what Russell Wilson do, man. But what everybody better start looking at is the fact that Tyler Lockett has been under the radar and whatnot, and it's time for Tyler Lockett to start getting his just due. 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. That means he had 2 touchdowns, like 50 yards a whop, and then 2 other catches for 100 yards. So it's like you can't get any better than the longest was 69. Russell was outstanding as usual. 4 touchdowns, 18 for 23, 254, 152 passer rating and whatnot. Carson Wentz had a relatively decent day. Again, sacked 3 times. Sacked 3 times. I mean, it just, going to see what happens with this guy. I think Indianapolis has a pretty good ball club and what. Again, this is week 1, but Seattle did what Seattle was supposed to do, and if Seattle, if they can keep Russell Wilson clean and get a nice little running game going on, and like I said, Tyler Lockett, he's been under the radar for the last couple of years. Tyler Lockett is like that. I like him. Short receiver, speed and everything. He's almost like that of Tyreek Hill. He's just not as bulky like him, but he can run and he makes big plays, and he's improved his receiving skills year in and year out, and he's a gem. He's a gem with Metcalf. Those guys are good. Those guys are a nice duo, and they just got to make sure that they have a running game, play defense, and keep Russell Wilson upright, and they'll go a long ways, in my opinion. San Francisco, Detroit. I'm going to say a lot about this game because it went on what it happened. But one of the most impressive things I think about this 33-41, 41-33 win by San Francisco is either San Francisco just laid down or Detroit finally had like a no-quit type attitude because of their new coach. I want to attribute it to that. I don't know. Their coach Dan Campbell probably had something to do with that because that game was far gone. Again, another one of these things when you look at Jimmy G, hey man, 17-25. Everybody want to throw Jimmy G in the scrap heap. I was like, yo, he's got skills, but he was getting hurt and everything like that, and then he got hurt some last year. He's back. Now you got Tyler Lance, I think the kid Lance, whatever his name is, he drafted and whatnot, who even scored a touchdown. Trey Lance, who even scored a touchdown with 1 for 5 yards and threw a touchdown and whatnot in there. And so with Jimmy G up in there, so it's just like, okay, what are you going to do with this guy? So they have some good people, but now they got some hurt. Got a guy, one of the secondary guys got hurt. Raheem Morse, he's going to be out for the season, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have, like I said, what's my man's name? Deebo Samuels. 9 catches, 189 yards. I mean, that's just balling, man. Whatever and whatnot. But what's going to happen in between that? But then Detroit fought their way back, which was impressive, needed to be seen. Because, like I said, you guys know I'm critical of these teams that can't even make the playoffs and haven't been in the playoffs for eons. And their whole existence hasn't, as far as playoff football is concerned, has been completely worthless. And they have been one of those teams, but it was good to see them try to make a valiant comeback for them to try to do something. So that was from a football fan standpoint of view, that was impressive and whatnot. You had Houston and Jacksonville. Houston and Jacksonville, 37-21. The Texans, and got Tyrod. Who got over there? I think my man Tyrod Taylor. From Tyrod Taylor, 21-33, 291 at 2 touchdowns. Ran the ball 4 times for 40 yards. He had a 29-yard run. You had Brandon Cooks, 5 catches for 132 yards and whatnot. Danny Amendola, he caught a touchdown pass and whatnot. I say these guys, like I said, it's crazy over there because Deshaun Watson's not there, and that's crazy to even know that it's literally he's getting paid for basically just stay away. Trevor Lawrence made his debut. 28 for 51, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he had 3 interceptions and was sacked once for 13 yards. And he was pressured pretty much hard all day, so he got the little rookie blues with him. But look, all those yards though, everybody kind of all those yards. Okay, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, and like I said, 37-21. But we'll see what happens with him and whatnot. That was a good win for Houston. Houston definitely needed that. Cleveland and Kansas City, I actually watched this whole game. Cleveland should have won this game, but like I said, what if I told you guys about the arm talent of when you dealing with Pat Mahomes? I mean, Patrick Mahomes, like his arm talent is like that, and he make that 75-yard throw. It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Nick Chubb had a good game. Kareem Hunt's always in the mix. Now they're gonna have to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 14 carries, 43 yards. They're gonna have to do a little bit better with running that ball game. Running that rock and whatnot. But like I said, goes back to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, contract type year, for him to go to that next echelon, for people to really take him serious, he's good, but he needs to go to the next level. And he threw that pick. And like I said, they came back, and that defense, like I said, Kansas City find a way. You leave them around and whatnot, they're going to make something happen. So Kansas City's going to always be a scary team. My man, New Orleans Saints in Green Bay. I'm seeing, like I said, my man Crab Legs, famous Jameis, 14 for 20, 148 yards, 5 touchdowns, extremely impressive. Good to see that. Alvin Kamara, 20 carries for 83 yards. I can't remember when the last time Alvin Kamara had 20 carries, and he got targeted 4 times as a receiver, 3 times. I'm impressed by the 20 catch for 83 yards. Run him. What I've been saying, again, and I'll say this again, and I keep saying this because I don't think a lot of people really know this, hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards since high school. Not in college, and going to his 5th year in pros, not even in pros. I want to see him be LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, Thurman Thomas, because he is that type of talent if Sean Payton uses him the way he needs to use him and whatnot. But it was good to see old famous Jameis do his thing. And like I said, as far as receiving is concerned, I don't think Michael Thompson's back yet, and that's sad on how things is shaping up with him. But I'll probably do a show on that later sometime too. But Aaron Rodgers stunk up the joint. Green Bay sucked. It'll probably be better coming up this week. I don't see them playing like that again. Miami and New England, 17-16 Miami. Tua sit up there and pull them out a win. 2 Alabama alumni playing and whatnot. Nothing all that razzle-dazzly. Tagovailoa, 16-27, 202, 1 touchdown, 1 sack, got sacked twice, and whatnot. People are not buying in on him because I don't think he's flashy. I don't think he has a major arm strength that you want in pro, but he can be just one of these guys who wins, like a Bernie Kosar for a couple of years there with the Browns and whatnot. Mac Jones, 29, 39, 281, 1 touchdown. Everybody talks about his poise and this and that, but we'll see. Like I said, this is week 1. And I don't get caught up in all that mess. Denver and New York, 27-13 Denver. Got over here. We got Teddy Bridgewater. Love to see Teddy Bridgewater. 28, 36, 264, 2 touchdowns. Got sacked twice. Had 3 catches for 19 yards. He had his passer rating was 115. At 115. Melvin Gordon came from out of nowhere. 11 carries, 101 yards. He had a 70-yard touchdown run. It was good to see that. He's been patting himself on the back for the last couple of years. I said, yeah, you all right, but you ain't up there yet. So let's just keep up the good work. Nothing happened with Danny Dimes. All that mess with him. 22, 37, 267. Again, Saquon Barkley, how many times he touched the ball? 10, 12. He touched the ball 11 times. 26 yards. That's his jersey number, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're not going to do nothing, if you're not going to run him, Shit, leave him out the goddamn game then. You ain't going to do nothing with him. Leave him out the game. You go to sit up and just throw your quarterback. Same thing I was talking about with Dak and Zeke. It's like, well, if you just, well, fuck, it was no, if you want, you just want to see what his shoulder like. And 27-13 in the back of the caliber of Saquon Barkley, with that talent, why is he not touching the football? Y'all didn't lose by that much. Y'all was in the game. But, I don't know nothing. I just talk about football. Arizona and Tennessee. Tennessee was supposed to, some say supposed to wipe the floor with them. I said, I don't know if that's going to happen. 38 points. And this is a Cliff Kingsbury year. He got to get her done this year. He's got to get it done this year. Kingsbury, because he never won in college. Great offensive mind, but he never won as a head coach in college. Great offensive mind, but he hasn't won nothing. And this was impressive because you kind of thought that all the critics was like, Tennessee's going to run over these guys. And it was like, oh, yeah, okay, well, we'll see about that. Kyler Murray, who I've been following since his Allen days, used to watch his father, was a fan of his father when A&M. It was like just a couple of years difference between him and his age. And it's always great to see Kyler just what he's done and what people try. He wouldn't be able to, like, people honestly didn't think he'd go pro with me. And my man just like, he going pro. That goes without saying. 21 for 32, 289, 4 touchdowns, threw a pick, got sacked twice, passer rating 121, 5 carries, 20 yards, he accumulated for 5 touchdowns. Chase Edmonds had a pretty good game. Both the backs, even Connor, they had a nice 116 yards, basically 116 yards rushing. I think they end up having 116 yards rushing on it'd be 28 carries. So that's not bad at all. Some good yards on there, man. Some good yards on there and everything. So it's like, that's a nice little attack that they had there. You got Christian Kirk catching the ball and whatnot. So everything looked good. D-Hop doing his thing. 6 catches, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, 5 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hey, man, like I said, if they play ball like that and keep everything honest and whatnot, they're going to go far. Chandler, what else I got to say about Chandler Jones? Isn't it just a contract we have for Chandler Jones and people talking shit? He has 6. I don't even know if it's tackles. He had tackles, but he had 6 solos and 0. He had 4 tackles for losses, and he had. He had 5 sacks. 5 sacks. 5 sacks. You know what I'm saying? 5 sacks. I mean, hey, man, it is what it is, man. So, if they can continue to play ball, they was playing pretty good ball last year, and then they just started being inconsistent. And that's the one thing about NFL football, man. You got to be consistent. Chi-Town and Rams, hey, man, Matthew Stafford over there with the Rams now. We all know that I think McVay always wanted him a big strapping quarterback and whatnot, so we got him in Matthew. Look, I've always said Matthew Stafford was a good quarterback. He a Texas kid and whatnot, went to Georgia, played his years in Detroit, finding out that his wife said he hasn't loved football in a long time, and now he's loving it and whatnot. That's what Detroit does to you. Ask Barry Sanders. Ask Barry Sanders. Ask Megatron. You can ask a whole slew of damn players that went through that and whatnot. Somebody of all that talent has wasted away a decade over there. But because you feel like a certain type of sense of loyalty to a loyalty to an organization, but they're not giving you any loyalty because they're not putting any players around you. And they had a nice squad a couple of years ago when they actually should have probably beat Dallas and whatnot. But that's another story within itself. I call it as I see it. But he comes into play. He comes in 20 of 26, 321 yards, three touchdowns. Balling, rush game. Darrell Henderson did 16 carries, 70 yards, touchdown. You had Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's one of the nicest receivers in the league when he's healthy and whatnot. When he's healthy and everything, and whatnot. So it's going to be. Of course, their defense is always nice. So it was something to see. Tannehill, I mean, not Tannehill, but Andy Dalton, 27, 36, threw the ball 38 times, and all you mustered up was 206 yards. So Justin Fields needs to go ahead and come and play. Andy Dalton's done. Andy Dalton go down as a pretty good quarterback to play in the NFL over a decade and whatnot, made a Pro Bowl or two, and had a couple of decent years over there at Cincinnati, but he's pretty much done. He's not the answer. He's not the answer and whatnot. We get on over here to the Chargers and the Chargers and the Skins and whatnot. I never call them the football team. They're gonna always be known as the Skins. For those who want that politically correct shit, go to another channel. They'd already lost Fitzmagic. Now Justin Herbert came out pretty good, 31-47. They loving this kid. They really want this kid to be this thing, be the next Dan Marino, or be the next Dan Fouts, I should say. We'll see what happens. They eked out a win. I think if Fitzpatrick plays, they probably would have won because Fitzpatrick, he can give you 4 or 5 good games. Taylor Heinicke. So we're going to see what happens. He went 11, 15, 122 yards, touchdown. I don't think he's going to be the answer. In my opinion, if with the type of defense that Washington has, they can be a grinder. It'd be good to me. Get somebody like Cam, get a nice running game going on, play action pass, and get it from there. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick, in the end, he's not going to be your answer. And Taylor Heinicke is not going to be the answer. Sorry, guys. You heard that here first. That shit ain't happening That shit ain't happening. You guys, not the answer. Quarterback is an issue with them. But if you're trying to get a quick fix with a decent quarterback and you got a decent defense, you can do something, and you can probably go about doing something with them. That Antonio Gibson looked pretty good running the football. I think he had a fumble or so, but he fumbled twice and lost one. He fumbled twice and lost one, so he got to hold on to that football. But no surprise, but Washington should have won that game. And then the major game, which was a good game, a lot of good games, man, for a first week, a lot of good games. Comes back to that of the Raiders in Baltimore, in Baltimore. And I'm gonna say this, and like I said, Carr started going. Carr, he ends up showing up. He shows why that what he could possibly do. What he can possibly do, right? Derek Carr, 34-56, 435 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1. He got sacked 3 times. So it was a game that was back and forth. I was really impressed with that Max Crosby. Villanueva, that tackle, the right tackle for that of the Ravens. He better get his shit together because it's hardcore pass rushes in the AFC North. He better get his shit together because that performance that they pressured him all night. They pressured him all night. He was pressured all night. You know, even though LGBT boy, he got his ass in on the act. You know what I'm saying? He got in on some ass. So all of that went on and whatnot. But I'm like, that guy, Max Crosby, I was peeping him out some last year. My man got a motor and whatnot and everything. You got Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs. They shut him down pretty good. But as far as like, you had what's my man name? Darren Waller, the tight end. That guy's like that. He's a beast. And it's going to, the Raiders, if they can get it together, do some things. Lamar's going to be Lamar. And one of the things I will say this about Lamar Jackson, because I remember Steve Young was talking, if he wants to sophisticated and just said, we know what he can do with it, he needs to get that sophisticated thing. No, his sophistication and what takes team soul. When Lamar Jackson takes your soul is when he busts you up the middle and does some crazy move and busts up the middle for a 25, 35-yard gain. He takes your soul. He got your soul. He's taking your soul out your body. Then the next play might be a touchdown pass. He's taking your soul, period, and he's put it in his pocket. His thing is his thing that can break your will is when he runs the ball. That's his gift to the game. He's probably not going to be the prolific type passer that everybody wants to be, but he's a good quarterback. As far as throwing the ball, his dynamic is running the ball and scaring you to shit, scaring you so bad to the point where he gets back there, be like, okay, I can throw the ball on your ass now, because he can throw that thing. He can throw that ball. That's not even a question. He might not be like some of these other guys what you want him to be, but that's not his game. His game is to take your heart when you lead. In other words, he's like a Jordan or a Magic or whatever, or the Kobe. Put the ball in his hands and let him do what he's gonna do, and stop trying to put parameters around him. And he gets that in the mind. It goes back to that Randall Cunningham syndrome. That's why Randall Cunningham, just let him do what he does, and he'll be fine. Okay? But hey, man, that's my wrap up. And hey, man, my players of the week, offensive player, Kyler Murray, obviously, and Chandler Jones, both on the same team. Offensive, defensive player of the week of week 1. I'll be naming them next. I'll be naming the ones in week 2 and whatnot. You guys have a good one. And like I tell you guys, there is no GOAT. There is no greatest of all time as long as time's still going on. And like I tell you guys, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. We'll be talking to you guys later. Have a good one.